he managed to achieve that. So what I need to emphasize to our people is that don't think that being a better performing leader, it has a proportional relation with the age. You can find an older person being a great and successful president, and you find a young and energetic leader doing nothing. We have ever had some of them. Valentino Stressor in Sierra Leone came into power at the age of 22.
22 years.
22 years. And he became by that time 1990 around. He was, I think he was even in the Guinness Book of Record, youngest leader
ever.
Yes, coming into power. But they did nothing to Sierra Leone. His cabinet, the oldest was around 26 years.
26?
Yes, and one of the presidents even visited Uganda was called Mada Bio. Sierra Leone was within that he had around 23 years. So they were all young.
But did nothing. Nothing.
You go to Burundi. It was called Michombero, Captain Michombero. Was it 72? He was a leader at 26. But what was so controversial about him was the genocide in Rumongi province, south of Lake Tanganyika. He killed more than 80,000 people. They had declared the independent republic of Rumongi from Burundi. Killed them very young. So don't think that only young, that we need our generation. Generational leaders, leadership has no proportionality with the age. Say this. Term limit is not the only indicator of democracy. Not. There are very many countries without term limits. Margaret Thatcher ruled for almost 14 years in UK, but it's very hard in UK. They don't have term limits. UK, they don't have a written constitution.
UK?
Yes.
UK has no constitution?
They don't have a written constitution. They only have different charters that were put in place several years. The Magna Carta, they have copies of the Magna Carta. That's part of the constitution. They have a Bill of Rights. They have what? They don't have a written constitution. But that's democracy.
They have charters only?
Charters. Magna Carta, that's the foundation of democracy. So it's there. Then the other bills of rights, there. We forced the king to sign this. So they just add like pamphlets. They add
no constitution.
No constitution. But that's democracy. So let us take that democracy. We will just leapfrog. Someone will just leapfrog from P1 to senior 6. No. Let us leave. If at all this guy has managed to put some power in one of the branches of the government, that's the legislature, that's a step. That's a step. African leaders have faced so many problems. And another thing I would like to enlighten our viewers that politics is contingent. It's like these contingent diseases, flu and what. People just emulate what their neighbors are doing. In Egypt, they had a little kind of democracy, but not so much. Most of the leadership was almost a dictatorship. From the King Idris and the others. In Libya, King Farouk. After King Farouk, Muammar Gaddafi, there was no democracy, but Libya developed. You go to Algeria, from Ahmed Ben Bella, from Houari Boumediene and the others. Algeria experienced one of the bloody war in Africa, whereby they could do slaughter around 20 people in the morning, 30 people, they experienced that. So there is no way you should expect Chad to be so highly democratic when its neighbors are facing such problem.
Free your mind now. Be part of the People's Pan-African Parliament. The Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
The Pan-African Weekly Round Table with your speaker, Emperor Andrew Irumba. Philosopher Samuel Kasozi is already on the chair. Philosopher, say hi to our viewers.
Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all our viewers worldwide. Yes, it's a very great opportunity to be here again, and I hope we shall serve to the best.
Yes, we shall serve to the best of our knowledge.
Yes.
Philosopher, We have a number of topics. Number one, we're going to look at Rwanda, Kagame. We're going to look at Chad, and we shall look at Peter Mutharika in Malawi. And also we could actually begin with a few things about President Museveni's last week. I think last weekend, he passed over 350.
I saw them in the pics, but I didn't go over.
This comes amidst a presidential election. And these soldiers passed are immediately going to be deployed in the protection of the vote. So I don't know whether this is a good coincidence. In your interpretation, how do you look at that?
Yeah, just that we have not been following most of our election and the state of security, but me at least have been trying to follow most of the elections. Whenever elections are approaching, most of the recruits on the training, mostly on the basic military training, Kabamba, then you go to Oliver Reagan and Tambo, Kawewet, and so many, they always deploy them. And for them, they are always happy. It's like going to Somalia. So they also change on the part of life. They have
part of indoctrination.
Indoctrination, and also exposing them to what we call crowd management, crowd manipulation, and so many others. So it's part of the experience. So they have been deploying them. I remember it was when I was in the election. I had one of my relatives who was there, but after deploying them during the election, he never went back. He deserted the forces.
Why?
There's a lot of suffering. Don't joke. Suffering for nine months, because they had trained for 9 months. Then afterward, they deployed them different areas to manage election. Then President Museveni, when he was there, when they were going to pass them, he realized that they are not so much trained as he wished. So he said that they should go back for 3 months. The guy said, I cannot endure the 3 months. So he deserted. So they always deploy them for security reasons, and it shouldn't be a problem. You people, security forces are not a threat to voters. Not a threat. We just find, we call it denial. So after being defeated, we find the reasons to deny our failure. Then we start claiming security forces and the others, but they cannot do that.
Sometimes, like if you went to a polling station to vote, to cast your vote, and you found a heavy deployment, you as an elite, you may understand and go through and vote, but our people in the village, when they see security, when they see police, when they see guns, there's that state of mind that comes into your mind that, you know,
most of those are just rhetorics. But on reality, whenever, and the good thing is that President Museveni tried to professionalize the army. So most of these people, they know very well. Whenever you find soldiers, maybe in the towns and what. For example, last week, I was observing President Museveni's travel to Luwero to start the campaigns. But they deployed so many soldiers along the way. But you could find people giving them chairs, you can sit, putting them in sheds, giving them whatever they needed. I could see them. And they could talk to kids, how are you, what they were. So people are used to soldiers. Let us not just use those simple or denials to hide our failures or our weaknesses. These soldiers are our sons. Almost every family, there's someone who is in the army. Almost every family. So people are used to them. We should not We should not use this as a pretext for our failures.
Hey.
It's not a big issue. So let us mobilize the voters. Let us explain to them. They will vote.
According to you, what you have seen so far, is there a balance? Is there, like you see everything is balanced? There is no, because there are some people in opposition are crying of foreplay by the security apparatus. According to what you're observing, is there a balanced sheet? Like there is equal treatment on behalf of the security to the various candidates.
Where have you ever found equal treatment in this world? Does God treat Satan equally? Is it a leveled ground between God and Satan? But isn't Satan is fighting?
Hey. So what you're saying is
they have never
they should not complain when there is
fair ground in this world. You have to create it, the fair ground, but it has never existed. Even God has put Satan at a disadvantage that he cannot even fight. When he was chased in heaven, he was thrown in an abyss, a bottomless pit, and he was blindfolded. According to the book of Enoch, that's what it says about Satan. Who was thrown in a bottomless pit, he was blindfolded and chained so that they can reduce on the power of Satan. God even sent his son, God sent the Holy Spirit, Satan has never sent anyone, but he's fighting. Is that ground leveled? But Satan is fighting. All along the churches are burning, fire. Satan is still fighting. He has never complained that the ground is not leveled. He's fighting. Yes. So they have never been a level.
So the opposition should not complain.
Should not complain. You can check Senegal. This Boakai, who just previously won the election, nomination was in prison. They gave him some few days to campaign, but he managed to win. Was that leveled ground? Didn't he win? So we should not expect to have a leveled ground. Human nature has never been such. Don't expect to fight a level. That's why Che Guevara, one of the most revolutionaries of the world, said that revolutionists, they don't ripe as a fruit and fall. But we work to achieve a revolution. Don't expect to just fall accidentally by the law of gravity and the revolution that the government has been over. You have to work. You have to use whatever means so that you can survive. You stage a protracted war, you struggle against prison. Even if they are limiting you, there are so many means of accessing people. You can use grassroots work. So when they don't allow rallies, you can use grassroots work. Send cadres, different. You go house to house, campaigning. Was the ground in U.S. leveled between Harris, Kamala, and Trump? Trump had almost around 200 cases. Kamala had nothing, and Biden. Trump won. And won. They tried to assassinate. Kamala never experienced such. So don't expect a leveled ground. You have to make sure that you try your best to level the ground. That's it.
Kasozi. Okay, let's leave Uganda. Let's go to Rwanda now. Brian Kagame, the youngest son of Rwandan President Paul Kagame, was among more than 1,000 cadet officers who graduated from the Rwandan Defense Forces, RDF, a few days ago. A graduate of prestigious Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst in the UK, like his elder brother Ian, Brian's entry into the RDF reinforces the Kagame family's deep-rooted military legacy. With President Kagame leading the RDF for over 3 decades, his son's rising roles echo similar dynastic military trends seen in Africa, such as Uganda's General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. The question is, could Paul Kagame be preparing one of his sons to take over once he steps down?
Definitely. And that is accepted. We call it personal following in politics. Personal following. Most of the leaders, one of their aim is to groom someone within the family to succeed them. Most of the stronger empires could rely on their relatives, their sons, in order to solve the succession problem. Even, me, I like so much to use references to God, who is omnipotent, omnipresent, all-knowing and everything. God, he never used, and there are so many other creatures apart from his son, but instead he sent his son. Why? preparing his son.
Hey. So this thing started from God.
That's why I use these examples, so that people can understand or can differentiate between realities and what the imagination is. In reality, everyone or every leader's dream is to promote someone of their own. God, instead of looking for other cherubims and what those are all creatures in heaven, he sent his son. Why? He was grooming his son. Most of the leaders, you go to US, there are very many leaders who have groomed. Theodore Roosevelt was a president. His cousin, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was also president. That is personal following. So leaders have been promoting and grooming their what? Their sons. John Adams, who was the second president of USA, his grandson, John Quincy Adams, was also president in USA. So it's not something very strange, something very new in politics. It is done, we call it personal following. That's why you see Bush Sr., his son Bush Jr., Jeb Bush, and the others. Why? Because in politics they tell us that the dining table is the most academy for training politicians.
Dining table.
Dining table
is the most academy
for training politicians and leaders. Dining table.
Hey.
Why? Bush, whenever he's in the State House, they could sit with son, then they discuss the war, the Gulf War in Iraq, when the children are hearing. You are training them in leadership. You talk about the war in Grenada, that we sent Marines, what and what. I had to sign executive order, they are hearing. You are grooming leaders. So don't expect Kagame, a benevolent leader, to be in his house discussing politics when his sons are not engaging in it. That is personal following. So you cannot blame Kagame for that. Is fulfilling what politics requires from a leader to groom their son. Even when you go to these Bahima and who are cattle keepers, those people, they value that cow or that cow which is always leading.
Bihogo.
And leave apart Bihogo, but in a rural they call it Enteyomutwe. The head, the cow that heads others.
Yes. It's called Bihogo, I think.
Bihogo. I mean, those are all different identities of cattle. Bihogo, what other names. But there is
the leader.
The leader. If I told the price for a cow is maybe 1 million, when you want to buy that cow, which is the leader, you can even ask that girl to give you the cow on 3 million and refuses. Because that is the leader. Whenever you remove that cow, you may take a month without a replacement. And whenever it gives birth to another calf, the calf will also become a leader. The mother will be leading the other, and the calf will also be following. Try to formulate a way somewhere, you forge somewhere, you enter the garden, the calf is also watching. That is what we call followership. So Kagame has tried to put in place the personal following. Why? The problems of Rwanda are so many and so different from other countries' problems. Rwanda is one of the countries, and the Rwandans are one of the people who have suffered a lot in the history of this world. Leaving apart the Jews and the Koreans, the Rwandans have suffered a lot. So if at all Kagame has managed to stabilize Rwanda, don't expect that he's so fool to get somebody who is not indoctrinated in that type of leadership that has stabilized and unified Rwanda and place him into leadership. Rwanda needs more than 50 years in order to remove those identity boundaries. I'm a Hutu, I'm a Tutsi, and they need more than
50 years.
So they need.
I hope that is after Kagame has left.
After Kagame, they need another.
When Kagame leaves, another 50 years.
No, even if Kagame so far almost 20. 30 years are enough.
30 years now.
Are enough.
Kagame now, you think he has ruled for 30 years?
Okay, 30 years. So 20 to 30
one of his
years.
sons should come and
take over. Then he proceeds with the legacy of Kagame, whereby Kagame dismantled everything concerned with cultural identity. I'm a Hutu, I'm a Tutsi. One day they will be saying, I'm a Rwandan. That's when he will have stabilized Rwanda, and he needs someone who can maintain that legacy, and that person can only be the son of Kagame. Somebody else who is not indoctrinated. Kagame, he gives order when the son is watching. But bringing in someone, because he is popular and the democracy calls for popular votes, you may even end up bringing Interahamwe who went to DRC. After engaging in agriculture and illicit activities, he managed to accumulate a lot of wealth. Will come back to Rwanda. I want to be the president. Then coming back, his level of indoctrination is so different from these ones who are in Rwanda. He's still thinking about ethnocentrism. I'm a Hutu. I have to promote Hutu power. Our ancestors were Hutu. So you bring someone back to Rwanda, to govern Rwanda, you will destabilize Rwanda. It needs someone who is highly indoctrinated in the leadership style of Kagame. I support Kagame because of the problems Rwanda experienced.
Hey. Okay, Chad's parliament has overwhelmingly approved. Museveni is leading Africa slowly. You see now, Chad's parliament has overwhelmingly approved the constitutional amendment removing presidential term limits. A move critics say is designed to help President Mahamat Idris Deby stay in power longer. Deby first took power in 2021 after rebels killed his father. Long-time ruler Idris Deby Itino in a gun battle that ended his 30 years in power. He was then elected head of state in May 2024 for 5 years in a contested vote boycotted by most opposition parties. The reform also creates a deputy prime minister post, extends parliamentary terms from 5 to 6 years, and restores immunity for government officials.
Yeah, anyway, the problem.
His father was killed on the battlefront, and now his son comes, and the first thing he's working on is to remove term limits.
So you know, Chad is one of the nations in Africa that have experienced a lot of instabilities. Almost of all the presidents they have had, about 4 of them have come into power through military coups. At first it was Francois Tumborombaye, then it was overthrown, then they fall into a very deadly civil war in Chad. So from that period up to now, it's when Chad has experienced a state of tranquility and peacefulness. But all along they have been experiencing civil wars. So, democracy, first of all, when you look at what we call the Atlantic Charter of 1941, the Atlantic Charter, it's the declaration that gave all countries that were under colonialism independence. It was the Atlantic Charter, which was signed between Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Winston Churchill on a battleship. So that Atlantic Charter, it gave everyone the right to vote, every country, when you look at some of its terms, that all countries are free to have the government which they seem to be most promotive of their happiness. So countries have the right to have their own form of government as long as it's the most promotive of their happiness. So you look at that Atlantic Charter. A government that is most promotive of their happiness. Why? These people realize that one of the problems why Second World War occurred was the weakness of democracy and the popularity of authoritarian rules. That's why Second World War broke out. Democratic governments are so fragile everywhere.
Democratic
are so fragile.
So you'd rather live with the...
So in a situation, here we just look at the greater good. In a situation where one stronger man can maintain peace for so long, and in a situation where a democratic government cannot sustain national survival and people's freedom.
But the challenge is, Philosopher Kasozi, is that these authoritarian governments tend to focus on their power, keeping power, sustaining power at the cost of other rights of the people.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, when you look at Chad, you realize that most people did not have their rights.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true, but let us look at some of these countries, that developed countries. When you look at the origin of Britain or UK, were people having their rights? When you look at 1215, when democracy started in the UK after signing the Magna Carta, what forced Britain to resort to some kind of
dictatorship?
Not dictatorship, some kind of democracy. What factors were there? So even Britain was not democratic at the start. They had stronger rulers who managed to dismantle some of these undesirable traits in the country. Then they prepared for the democratic leadership.
Now, you have brought it very well.
Yes.
They prepared for the democratization.
Yes.
Now, the problem with some of the African countries is that they are never preparing.
Okay.
This one had just ruled for 30 years. No preparation for democracy.
No, not 30 years. Just succeeded his father.
No, I'm talking about the one, his father.
Yeah.
His father. He had ruled for 30 years. And he had no plans of democratization. Now his son has just come, 2024. He has started by removing term limits.
Okay.
So the point you said was very correct. That these other countries, developed countries, they first used dictatorial tenets to build structures for democracy.
Yes.
That's a given.
Okay.
Even America, that's what they did.
Yeah.
But thereafter, building the foundation for democracy, they now give people their freedoms to vote.
That's true.
Now, these African countries are not planning to do that.
I know, they are not planning, but still, some of those presidents face a lot of problems. Like Dawaf told you, Chad has never had a period of 5 years when it is experiencing peace and stability. From Austin, the first president, Francois Tumorombaye, then Gawukoni and the others, they started a deadly civil war. Then apart from that, also even in Libya, during Gaddafi's time, Libya had a lot of influence in domestic affairs of Chad. One time they even fought a war between Libya and Chad, where Libya, Gaddafi was defeated with the help of Egypt. So these people have not had time to lay the foundation for democracy. But right now, when you look at democracy, even in South America, they used to say that democracy, it's a work in progress. You take your child to P1, then you die, the successor will take that child to P7. So if at all this guy has managed to use democratic means to remove the term limit, that one is also credit. Democracy is starting. He has used the parliament, not so. It's the parliament that people voted for. That's democracy. Democracy is starting. So by the time this guy will leave power, at least the foundation will be established that it's the parliament to decide upon how people should be governed. That's a credit. Next time after that, you will see that the parliament has passed a law prohibiting such and such and such. That's democracy. But the problem we have in Africa is that we look at these developed countries and we think that democracy took only 2 decades. for this country to get democracy. It took several years and years. So it can take like 10, 15 years when this guy is still in the government. But it's good that constitutional and parliamentary governance has been established. Then somebody else will come and give more.
Comrade Philosopher, by removing the term limits, is this guy giving us hope for a democracy or the lack of it?
It's premature democracy. But it's democracy, prematurely. Why do I say this? Term limit is not the only indicator of democracy. Not. There are very many countries without term limits. Margaret Thatcher ruled for almost 14 years in UK, but it's very hard in UK. They don't have term limits. UK, they don't have a written constitution.
UK?
Yes.
UK has no constitution?
They don't have a written constitution. They only have different charters that were put in place several years. The Magna Carta, they have copies of the Magna Carta. That's part of the constitution. They have a Bill of Rights. They have what? They don't have a written constitution. But that's democracy.
They have charters only? Charters.
Magna Carta, that's the foundation of democracy. So it's there. Then the other bills of rights, there. We forced the king to sign this. So they just add like pamphlets. They add
no constitution.
No constitution. But that's democracy. So let us take the democracy. We will just leapfrog. Someone will just leapfrog from P1 to senior 6. No. Let us leave. If at all this guy has managed to put some power in one of the branches of the government, that's the legislature, that's a step. That's a step. African leaders have faced so many problems. And another thing I would like to enlighten our viewers that politics is contingent. It's like these contingent diseases, flu and what. People just emulate what their neighbors are doing. In Egypt, they had a little kind of democracy, but not so much. Most of the leadership was almost a dictatorship. From the King Idris and the others. In Libya, King Farouk. After King Farouk, Muammar Gaddafi, there was no democracy, but Libya developed. You go to Algeria, from Ahmed Ben Bella, from Houari Boumediene and the others. Algeria experienced one of the bloody war in Africa, whereby they could do slaughter around 20 people in the morning, 30 people, they experienced that. So there is no way you should expect Chad to be so highly democratic when its neighbors are facing such problem. So let us try to get at least one country being democratic, then another one will follow that route. So Senegal should be the beacon of West Africa. Other countries will follow Senegal slowly. Democracy will go on what? Flourishing. Like that. But they have never experienced any democratic government in North Africa. Very few of them. Apart from when the Arab Springs came, that's when they restored some other presidents. But prior to the Arab Springs, it was dictatorship almost. So Chad is also a victim of that. So don't expect that democracy will just flourish out of nowhere. Slowly by slowly, they go on embracing democracy.
Well, Philosopher, going to Malawi. Peter Mutharika has been sworn in as Malawi's president, marking a remarkable political comeback for the 85-year-old who previously led the country from 2014 to 2020. His new 5-year term will run until 2030, by which time he will be 90 years old. Mutharika's decisive victory over incumbent Lazarus Chakwera, over 56% by 33, returns him to power of a nation grappling with severe economic crisis. The victory marks a dramatic reversal of fortune for Mutharika, whose earlier presidency ended after the 2019 election was annulled by the courts due to irregularities.
So at least here we are just going to derive some lessons that Ugandans and the entire world can benefit from. First of all, Mutharika is very old. By the time he will leave power, he will be, you have said 90 years. Very many people are saying that old people cannot be, but that's one of them.
Mutharika has come back.
Yes. When you look at someone who modernized China, Deng Xiaoping left power around 88.
Hey.
Yeah. But
Deng Xiaoping.
He's the mother of modern China. Is the guy who transformed China from a highly closed economy or from a communist state to a mixed, like how Uganda we are. But that transition wasn't easy. Very many countries collapsed. Very many countries' economies collapsed during that period. But Deng, very old, he managed to achieve that. So what I need to emphasize to our people is that don't think that being a better performing leader, it has a proportional relation with the age. You can find an old person being a great and successful president, and you find a young and energetic leader doing nothing. We have ever had some of them. Valentino Stressor in Sierra Leone came into power at the age of 22.
22 years.
22 years. And he became by that time 1990 around. He was, I think he was even in the Guinness Book of Record, youngest leader
ever.
Yes. Coming into power. But they did nothing to Sierra Leone. His cabinet, the oldest was around 26 years.
26?
And, yes, and one of the presidents even visited Uganda was called Mada Bio. Sierra Leone was within that he had around 23 years. So they were all young.
But did nothing.
Nothing. You go to Burundi. It was called Michombero, Captain Michombero. In, was it 72? He was a leader at 26. But what was so controversial about him was the genocide in Rumongi province, south of Lake Tanganyika. He killed more than 80,000 people. They had declared the independent Republic of Rumongi from Burundi. Killed them very young. So don't think that only young, that we need our generation. Generational leaders, leadership has no proportionality with the age. So that is. Then another thing I would like to talk about
Mutharika.
Yes. First of all, Malawi has been one of the beacons in Africa as far as democracy is. Malawi, Zambia. So that's why those countries around Sub-Saharan, one by one, they go on emulating or embracing democracy because of this.
I agree, because Mutharika lost an election.
Yes.
When he was the incumbent.
The incumbent.
Yes, it was annulled.
Then they went into
they got and they went into and he lost and he conceded.
And it's the only.
And now people have tested this Chakwera.
That's true.
They have seen Mutharika is better. Come back.
And it's the only African.
It is very rare to any African country to be the incumbent and you lose an election and you retrieve back.
And let us add on this. It has been and it is still very rare for election to be annulled and then the opposition win that election. It has been very rare. We have seen so many annulled elections. It was in Angola during Dos Santos and Savimbi. They annulled the election. It was for 86 around. They annulled the election. Then they rescheduled the election date. It never happened. It never happened. Jonas Savimbi sent a delegate team to Rwanda. Do you remember by that time there was a bloody civil war in Angola between UNITA of Jonas Savimbi and MPLA of Dos Santos in government. So they wanted to make sure that they end that bloody conflict. They organized the election, then it was rigged. They annulled it. They rescheduled it for next, or they wanted to reschedule it.
It never happened.
It never happened. Savimbi sent Sarupeto Pena and the other members to go and negotiate about that date. They were killed. They died on their way. They never reached Rwanda. So it is very rare for an election to be annulled and
And
it proceeds on very
and an incumbent loses.
And an incumbent. So this is
so Mutharika is an example.
In Kenya 2017, it was in favor of Uhuru Kenyatta. Yes. So it's very rare. So this is a very good example. So it can give us some of the references and contemporaries that even if in Uganda we get such, they are now the election, opposition has to put in a lot of effort because it's very rare for them to win. So it has been in what? In Zambia. Then another thing is that whenever, this goes to President Museveni, if at all President Museveni had tried Ugandans maybe to 16 and he just stayed aside of the election, you would see people crying for Museveni. They would have moved up to Rachitula. They would have collected almost 2 million signatures to petition Museveni to come back. I'm telling you.
If he had left in 2016. If he had left in 2016. So why? What is 2016 and 2021? Why not now?
Now it's old. So we shall just cry maybe for him when it's nowhere. Why I'm saying this? The opposition, most of opposition candidates in Africa, they are good at choosing leaders, but they are not good at problem solving.
The opposition.
Why? They lack realities. President Truman was asked after leaving the president's office in the USA that you describe for us, how does the president's office looks like? He just said it's like a chimney. If you cannot stand heat, you just get out of it. It is so burning. And he said that some presidential action should not be taken as being illegal because there are a lot of decisions to decide within that office. So these opposition leaders, because they lack reality, they end up promising unrealistic
things
which will not happen. That's what Chakwera was a pastor. He had no experience with politics. From 1989 to 2003, for 24 years, was the leader of the Assembly of God. Just praising, worshiping, nothing like a political experience. So he started politics in 2013. Very narrow in politics. Those are the leaders. So when he came into power, or during the 2019 election, he promised a lot of unrealistic things. He promised transparency, not knowing that a democratic transparency and even reducing the corruption level, not knowing that a democratic leader is very hard to fight against corruption. So he lacked that experience. Uganda, we are grappled with corruption. And of those who are campaigning, no one can even reduce 2% of corruption in Uganda. I'm telling you. They cannot. That's not how they reduce corruption. Or that's not how they fight corruption.
Mugisha Muntu said if he becomes president, corruption in 1 year would go.
Mugisha Muntu believes so much in the rule of law. That's the problem.
How is that a problem? I thought that is the solution.
Rule of law is one of the reasons why corruption is flourishing in most of these countries.
Rule of law?
Rule of law.
Not lack of it.
Rule of law. Why? These people, the kleptocrats.
Kleptocrats?
Yes. Kleptocrats is a nation run by thieves.
Thieves?
Yes, or corrupt officials.
So where is Uganda? Is Uganda in that category?
We are in that category. Kleptocracy.
It's a country run by thieves?
By thieves. That's what we call a kleptocracy. So those countries, to solve corruption, you need a stronger ruler, a stronger leader to fight against corruption. Because corruption is deeply ingrained in the minds of Ugandans, like it's part of our political culture. Someone can even cry because someone has refused his money.
Yeah, corrupt money.
Yes. I gave the guy money, the guy refused. That guy needs to die. Someone can go even to witchcraft. So it's deeply.
Actually, I know of a government agency whereby this lady was called to be given money. She refused the money because she's born again. Now they ganged against her. This person is bad.
Definitely.
We asked them, why? What is the problem? She has refused to work with us.
So how do you expect a democratic leader following the rule of law to eliminate?
She has refused to work with us. What do they mean? She has refused the corruption. All the other departments are cooperating, but for her,
so definitely you will end up being an enclave in the enterprise.
That is Jennifer Muturaki. Jennifer Muturaki refused the money. So they said, of all the other agencies, we are working, but this one, we should remove her.
She's not cooperating.
She's not cooperating.
So that is what we call ingrained corruption. It's in the mind of Ugandans and the other countries where kleptocracy has existed. And that kind of corruption is always institutional. It's a syndicate. You fight one, they place in another. Fight, they replace another one. It's a syndicate. So to break that syndicate, you need a stronger, not this one's campaigning in Uganda. No one can do that. And by the time Lesa Mugisha Muntu becomes a president, you will see in 3 years Ugandans will at least even try to assassinate
Mugisha Muntu
or any other. The guy promised us is doing nothing. A country like Uganda with such a kind of institutionalized corruption, that one cannot be uprooted by a leader following the rule of law. Never.
This is exactly what William Ruto is facing in Kenya.
Definitely.
A hustler. He came and promised his fellow hustlers.
Cannot.
And when he reached there, things are totally different.
So when
now these hustlers are looking at him as a betrayer. You betrayed us.
So they will end up putting their trust in Gachagua.
Yeah.
When he comes, he will experience the reality.
The same, yeah.
He cannot do anything. The same. So unless you get a stronger leader like Kagame, a stronger leader like Buhari during his first term, a stronger leader like Emmanuel Lorenzo of Mauritius, a stronger leader like Lee Kuan Yew, a stronger leader like Kamera Tatik of Turkey,
a strong leader like Putin.
Those are the leaders who can.
John
who can approve.
This North Korea president.
But that one is extreme, but he also still can do that. So by the time you get a strong leader for one term, he can put everything in normal, and then you can begin transforming slowly into democracy. But they cannot. So the same problem that affected Chakwera. Chakwera promised that there will be a lot of transparency. When he came into power, after winning, his cabinet of 31 members, it had 6 relatives to Chakwera.
But he has promised transparency.
Transparency. No nepotism, no cronyism, no what. He ended up putting his daughter, Juliet Chakwera, one of the, on the diplomatic mission in the European Union, Brussels, without qualifications. The daughter had a degree in an accredited university.
Hey.
A university which is not accredited.
Accredited.
Yes. The daughter had that degree. He sent the daughter to head the secretariat at Brussels. Even members of the European Union are complaining that she is so incompetent, Chakwera. He ended up, his vice president, Saulos Chilima, bringing mother-in-law of Saulos Chilima to become Minister of Agriculture.
Hey. A man who promised the
transparency, nepotism, what, merit and everything. He ended up doing nothing.
Hey.
Most of the government, 70% of the cabinets were given to people from Central Malawi. The Chewa people. Where he comes.
His tribe.
His tribe. 70%.
Hey.
That is Chakwera. So he had no realities that in democracy it's very hard to put in place such drastic reforms when you are so democratic. They end up promising such. to our voters. That's why very many Malawi were frustrated. He promised to revive the economy. When he reached there, he ended up borrowing $170 million from IMF. The debt burden increased, trying to revive the economy. Increased. Inflation increased. When during Peter Mutharika, inflation had reduced. But inflation increased, the cost of living increased, and whenever the cost of living increases, you just know that the standard of living will be low. That's why very many said, because he had promised, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, not knowing that in reality, they are hard to implement when you are so democratic. That's why they are now running to Peter Mutharika. And another thing is that he had no experience. This guy, I've told you, he served 24 years as the head of the Assembly for God, preaching. Peter Mutharika has a master's degree in economics, then international relations. He's so educated. He taught in several universities, even in Makerere. Mutharika. This one is just preaching, praying for sick people, who have been bewitched. His experience is more about that. So he had no realities with politics. That's why very many things ended up, and these people lost a lot of trust because of the false hope he gave them during campaigning. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And he ended up devaluing their kwacha, the country's currency, not knowing the impact of devaluation. Devaluation is good, based on economics, like what Museveni did, the devaluation. Devaluation is the legal reduction in the value of a country's currency. Legal reduction, whereby you devalue your currency so that you revalue or you put value on foreign currencies. Devaluation is the aim. Some of the conditions for devaluation is that productivity must be high in your country. This guy never knew that. Chakwera. He wasn't an economist. He studied philosophy, and not philosophy, this is usual philosophy of us. Philosophy in theology.
Hey, Bible teaching.
Teaching. Doctrines of the Bible.
Hey.
The sacraments and the word. That's where here. So he had no experience with economics. Chakwera. So he ended up devaluing their currency without boosting production. Then that devaluation is wasted. Devaluation to succeed, there must be a corresponding increase in the level of production, so that when you devalue your currency,
it is boosted by the production.
Not being boosted, but devaluation mostly aims at encouraging foreigners to come and export your goods.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean. It is being boosted by what you are producing.
Yes.
Because what you are producing
is what they are going to
what they are going to take.
Yes.
And they are buying it with foreign currency.
Foreign currency.
Yes.
Someone who was...
And so by doing that, you are fusing, you are neutralizing.
Yes. Someone who was buying a kilogram of coffee. Let us put it in our context of Ugandan currency, that $1 is equivalent to 3,800. So when you devalue, meaning that $1 will be, instead of 3,600, it will be 4,000. Meaning that when you come with your $10, you get 40,000. Yet previous you could get 36. So that one will encourage very many to come, because you come with a few dollars, you get a lot of money, you buy more goods. But this one didn't think of that when I devalue my currency, yes, foreigners will come to buy, but buying what? Nothing. So he had to first boost production, then you devalue. He never did that, lacking economics. So devaluation turned into a boomerang. Chakwera. So he ended up losing. So African leaders, this is what we have. Someone to be a leader. That's why Plato was emphasizing for what we call the philosopher king. that a leader should be a philosopher. Someone
or
who
a
is
philosopher must be him.
and the best knowledgeable, not someone who's just gambling. Chakwera, out of excitement of social media, 2013, he just realized that, yeah, I can chat on social media, I can use. He ended up putting an ad, I want to contest for a president, 2013. But not having the dream for Malawi. Then people ended up trusting, we need a religious person. He will establish a we call it a nation run by religious, a theocratic nation.
Theocratic nation. A nation run on religion
basis. Because he said that I want to serve God in a different way through politics. Those two are so different. So that's why he ended up what? Losing. So Malawi, I thank these people that after realizing that no, this person cannot take us anymore, they resorted to the incumbent. And this can give encouragement to other leaders to leave power, knowing that after power, when things fails, I can come back again. In Argentina, Perón came back. Perón was president after Second World War. He led Argentina. He tried successfully. Then he was overthrown because of the scandals, sexual scandals. He was defeated in election and even went to Spain in exile. His wife, Evita Perón, became a president after some few years. Then after Evita Perón dying, Perón came back. People celebrated on the airport when he was coming back. So people can come back. This one is a very good reference to our African leaders that even if you leave power, you can still have hope. And I hope Kabila one day will become a president of Congo.
Kabila, you want him to return?
He will, I hope. Based on the problem they have faced.
The man has already been sentenced to death. You are saying he will come back?
Very many people are sentenced.
Kabila has been sentenced to death.
But on which grounds?
That espionage. Kabila. The military court.
Those are just politically motivated. Just
yeah, but if they get hold of him, he's dead.
Do you think he's so stupid to come back? But he will come back after just some few years. Some few years. So I hope he will. Let us wait.
So you want Kabila to be back?
No, I don't want. But based on
circumstances,
Kabila managed to govern Congo, at least somehow more beautiful than Tshisekedi, people will launch for Kabila. If at all other leaders will not emerge, but the only hope of restricting Kabila's coming back is through Moise Katumbi, because he's the best candidate there. But Moise Katumbi, very many people believe him is just a spy for Israel. He has that origin. He's a brownie guy, what that he has distance from. So very many people distrust him. So Kabila may come back and become a president in Congo.
Okay, let's wind up with you know what happened to Julius Malema the other week of South Africa. You know what happened to him? South African opposition leader Julius Malema, president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, has been found guilty of unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition. The verdict delivered by the East London Regional Court. You can imagine in South Africa there is East London. Can you imagine? East London Regional Court in South Africa? Stems from an incident during the EFF's 5th anniversary rally at Sisa Dukash Stadium in Dunstane in 2018, where Malema was accused of firing a rifle in public. The court ruled that Malema's actions constituted a clear violation of the Firearms Control Act. His co-accused, Adrian Sinsam, alleged to have handed him the weapon, was also convicted on related charges. Sentencing is expected to follow soon, with both men facing potential jail terms or heavy fines. The ruling marks a significant development in one of the most politically charged trials involving South African opposition figures in recent years. Now, I am from the ground. I'm being told that they are bringing the cases of 2018 to take Malema down.
Yeah.
And it is politically motivated by the fact that Malema is championing land expropriation without compensation. That's one of the issues. And you know, Trump in America has been openly opposing Malema's leadership style, rhetoric, and the fact that Malema has also been defending most of the issues that America wants to continue doing in South Africa, and Malema is opposed to them. One of them is land expropriation, and the other is what Trump was alleging,
the genocide,
the white genocide, which is actually the other way around. So I think this Ramaphosa and his government are trying to please Trump, because Trump, remember, the other day he announced the cut-off of most of the aid from America, South Africa. So he thinks by doing this, convicting Malema, it's a bargaining chip. Yeah, we have done some of the things now.
So we are free to resume with.
Yes. Okay. So they are using Malema's conviction as a bargaining chip. However, Malema is not moved. He says actually he's ready even to be killed. And
the good thing is that South Africa, very many people have now started realizing they are hypocrites of those countries. And so the burden or the solution will go back to the South Africans. It's their time to resist such guy. Because Malema, well and good, is a reactionary leader, but he's not violent to that extent. Although his views are so controversial, but he's not to that extent. This is just something manipulated, or we call the trumped-up charges, similar to Trump's name. Trumped-up charges against Malema,
similar to Trump's name,
to silence him. But one reference I can give is that people in South Africa are observing and they are following whatever goes on. I know they will defend. Malema is coming from KwaZulu-Natal, one of the densely populated province, and he won almost in the assembly of that province. So he has a very strong support, a base. I know people will defend him. Whenever people say that someone is innocent, they always defend. In Spain, it was 1978. There was a guy called Eleuterio Sanchez, and from that guy, Abbas produced a song called El Idiot. That guy was sentenced to death. Then the penalty was reduced from death to 1,000 years in prison.
So reduced? Reduced?
Yeah, it was reduced.
From death to 1,000
years.
So how did they reduce that? They expected him to live beyond 1,000 years.
Yes, even the cop could, or the mite could be kept for that period.
1,000 years?
Yes.
When you die,
yes,
they keep the cop there?
Yes.
They release the cop after 1,000 years?
After 1,000 years. It was Eleuterio Sanchez. That just being blamed that they involved in robbery. When the police was attacking, they killed a younger girl in a stray bullet. So it was that blame was put on Eleuterio Sanchez and his friend. But very many Spaniards knew that they are blaming this guy because he belongs to the Rome, to the Jeps people. One of the marginalized group in Europe. The Jeps, they are like the Twas, the Mbuti, the Twas, and so the Jeps are also like that. After realizing that they are blaming me for nothing, he managed to escape from the prison and ran away. In Spain, from 1975 to 80s, he was the most wanted by the police. Looking for, but he managed to escape for 3 years. Police had mounted a mission to recapture, but the local people used to hide that guy. The guy could come to Irumba's house knowing that the guy has like 50 million money on him, but still people never gave up on him. They used to give him food, they hide him, they enable him to run to some other place of safety. Because he was innocent, so the guy managed to escape for 3 years. Then after the fall of the government of Francisco Franco in 80, then they overturned the ruling and the guy became free. And became a very good writer and the other. So, when people know the truth that they are persecuting you because of politics, they can fight for. Malema, being that he has some reactionary ideas about land appropriation, which is okay. These people, they never created the land in South Africa. They just expropriated the land of the natives.
Blacks, yeah.
Why should people suffer when you have, people have almost, you can combine like 6 districts land.
One white man has it.
Yes.
And he did not buy it.
He did not.
He just came and killed and took over.
So they have right.
Now, when Malema says, please, you bring back what you stole.
Then Trump and the other industrialists, they start attacking him. So people in South Africa, they know the truth that they are choosing him because of the reactionary ideas which are not favoring the whites. They will protect him. He will become the Eritrea of South Africa.
Malema will become the Eritrea
of South Africa.
Who is the Eritrea now?
Eritrea, the one I've told, Eritrea Sanchez in Spain, okay. The one I've told you, that people used to hide him from the police because they knew that he was innocent. But when he was the most wanted person in Spain, almost in Spanish history, is the most wanted person with a lot of ransom money. But people could hide him. They never mind about the money which is placed on his head. They protected him. So Malema will be protected.
Hey, why don't we end this show here, Comrade Philosopher Kasozi? Okay. Thank you so much for insightful submissions on the Pan-African Weekly Roundtable. Your speaker, Emperor Andrew Irumba. Kasozi, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Free your mind now. Be part of the People's Pan-African Parliament. The Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katushabe.